Okay, so we're going to talk about yoga for nervous system balance today. And what does that mean? So I think we're all familiar with like the fight or flight component of our nervous system. But we're going to take a deeper dive into the role of the vagus nerve and polyvagal theory as proposed by Stephen Porges. So the vagus nerve is the longest nerve in your body, stretches from your brain all the way down to the base of your colon. It's part of your autonomic nervous system, meaning it helps your body function without you having to think about it. It helps regulate heart rate, blood pressure, breathing, immune response, body temperature, digestion, speech, and so much more. So what does the vagus nerve have to do with the fight or flight response? Well, as your body is taking in all this information, the vagus nerve sends that information to your brain, which then determines the physiological state that you should respond in. So if the information coming in is indicating that you may need to activate your fight or flight response, the vagus nerve sends that information to the brain, and then the brain responds by dumping all of the stress hormones, the adrenaline, the cortisol, all of those things to get your body ready to fight, flight, freeze, fawn, whatever it is that will keep you safe. So this is where the vagus nerve and polyvagal theory comes in. Stephen Porges proposed that there are 3 physiological states the body can be in, arranged on a ladder. So we'll take a look at the ladder handout with this first page that I gave you. You can kind of see here the ladder. And at the top, you'll see the parasympathetic, or what he calls the ventral vagal. This is your true self. This is where you can be social, form connections, be creative, engage, all of those good things that we want to be, right? And then the next step down is the sympathetic. This is your fight or flight. This is where you feel threatened or endangered. And this applies to more than just physical danger. This applies to social and emotional danger as well. So in our history, we are pack animals, right? And so we can start to feel like we're in danger if we think that we're going to be kicked out of the pack, if we're not going to be accepted into, whatever societal norm we're a part of. That can be danger as well, and that can create the same fight or flight response. So then the bottom rung on the ladder is the dorsal vagal. This is known as the freeze state. This is where either the danger is too great for you to overcome, or you've been in a sympathetic state in that fight or flight for too long, and your body just can't function in that level anymore. So this is akin to a state of shutdown. If you are under prolonged stress, or if as a child your caregivers were not available, physically or emotionally available, to co-regulate with you, your body can get stuck in either of these states, the sympathetic or the dorsal vagal. Getting stuck in the sympathetic can look and feel like anxiety, easily becoming defensive, expressing anger and frustration openly, being overly judgmental or controlling. And those are the fight side of the sympathetic. And then in the flight side of the sympathetic, getting stuck there can look like a prolonged desire to escape, distract, delay, detach, or dissociate, keeping unnecessarily busy, perfectionism, and racing thoughts. So again, those are things that occur when you kind of get stuck in that flight side. In the sympathetic state, we may feel anger and blame directed at those who hurt us, while in the dorsal vagal, or the shutdown state, we may feel anger and blame directed more toward ourselves. I should have done something. I failed in some way. Getting stuck in the dorsal vagal, the shutdown state, can look and feel like depression, numbness, an inability to feel, sleeping more than is necessary, overeating, addictions, overuse of social media or TV, feeling stuck, stagnant, or behind, fatigue, memory issues, isolating, hopelessness, difficulty making decisions. It's important to note that we do have a tendency toward one response more than the other. So some of us are more inclined toward a fight response versus a flight response, or some of us are more inclined toward a shutdown response or a fawn response, and we'll talk about that too. But that's not the same thing as getting stuck in a state, okay? So just know that if you have a tendency, that's not the same as being stuck in a state. And we'll start to talk about how do I know, like, how do I know where I'm at? How do I know where I'm stuck? So if we have a healthy responsive nervous system, we should be able to move in and out of those states as necessary. So we don't want to shut down the sympathetic. We don't want to shut down the dorsal vagal because we need to be able to respond when an emergency occurs, right? That's how we protect ourselves. We might need to respond when we're in traffic. We're not usually being chased by bears anymore, but we might need to respond in all kinds of situations in our lives. And sometimes we do need to move into a shutdown state because that can be protective as well. It's not everything requires a response, and sometimes just shutting down is the safest response. It's when we get stuck in these states and the nervous system doesn't get the message that you're safe again, that it starts to become a problem. That's when you start to develop symptoms. You can develop digestive issues, physical pain in your body, blood pressure can be affected, all sorts of things, because like we talked about, that vagus nerve regulates all sorts of autonomic responses. So if it's constantly activated, constantly elevated, and it's not getting the message that you're safe, it's just pumping your body with those stress hormones, right? So then I said we would talk about the fawn response. This is a combination of both the sympathetic, so that activated fight or flight, and the dorsal vagal, the shutdown. And this is characterized by pleasing and appeasing the threat. This looks and feels like abandoning one's own needs to avoid conflict, criticism, or disapproval. This is people pleasing. This is merging one's own wishes with the wishes, needs, and demands of others in order to feel safe. This might be a lack of boundaries or difficulty maintaining boundaries. This is where resentment can start to build, both resentment of the other and resentment of ourselves, right? For not being able to hold those boundaries. So according to polyvagal theory, and there's a book about this if you want more information, but Stephen Porges proposes that you must move up the ladder one rung at a time. So you can't go from shutdown in the dorsal vagal and jump over sympathetic and head right back into social and engaged. You have to move through the steps, just like a ladder. So in order to return to your true authentic self, you have to mobilize yourself out of shutdown and then start to soothe your nervous system into that sympathetic or parasympathetic ventral vagal state. This is particularly especially true if you've started to become stuck in a state. So if something traumatic happens and you find yourself stuck in fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, it's going to be especially important that you are able to move out of that stuck state into the next one before you can really move all the way back up into that parasympathetic, which is where we want to be, right? Like that's our healthiest state. So how can we move from a state of shutdown? So we're going to start at the bottom or dorsal vagal into sympathetic, so the fight or flight. And how can we do that safely? How can we do that moving that energy out of the body without causing a really triggering experience? So this is where we'll start to move. We'll start to do some different things. And Michelle, if you have just a towel handy, any kind of towel you can use, we're going to do some things that can release energy related to fight and flight without consciously activating that in our minds, okay? So let me grab some towels. And so This first one is called wringing out the towel. So you'll just kind of like get it into a, you know, a state along. You okay? Yeah. Okay. Like this, and you can just energetically just twist and pull and twist and pull, really activating all of those fight muscles in your upper body. So your shoulders are working here, your arms are working here, your chest, maybe your neck's getting involved, but just twisting and pulling and twisting and pulling. Because when we fight, or when we want, our body wants to fight and we shut that down because it's not socially acceptable, all of that energy gets stored in the shoulders, the chest, the upper back, the neck. So we're doing that just as many times as feels good. We're just wringing out here, pulling, pulling, pulling. Just until you start to feel tired, until you start to feel like all of that energy is out. And maybe while you do this, you remind yourself that you're safe by slowing your inhales and slowing your exhales. So we're working hard, but we're reminding ourselves that we're safe, that the situation that caused us to want to fight is not happening right now. So we're working out that energy without triggering us. Okay. So here's another one we can do. If that feels complete for you, you can set your towel aside. And I hope to give you guys some tools for yourselves so that you can, you know, remember like, okay, like I got really activated and I didn't get to do what my body wanted to do. So now let me do some of these things so I can move back into the parasympathetic, that ventral vagal state. So we'll come to standing. And this one can kind of help us to move out some of the flight energy that gets activated in the hips and the legs. So come up onto your toes and then just really firmly drop back onto your heels. Really firmly dropping your weight into the floor. Giving yourself that proprioceptive feedback in the bottom of your feet. So again, flight is activated energy in the feet, the legs, and the hips. So that's how we run away, right? So this can allow us to move some of that energy out of those areas. Maybe doing that a few more times. Really dropping firmly, firmly into the heels. Just letting all your weight go into the floor. And you might start to feel some tension building in your calves, your thighs, or your hips. That's okay. That means we're working some things out here. Let's do this just maybe 2 more times. Okay, and then we'll find a bit of wall space. And we'll just press firmly into the wall, really allowing your hands, your elbows, your forearms, your upper arms, your shoulders, really pressing with all your might into the wall, just pressing, 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 right? And what this can do for the body is when there's a threat that we want to push away or we want to get away from, but we can't always do that because society doesn't allow us to push people away or to push situations away. This gives us an opportunity to move that energy out of the body. So we'll keep doing that a few times. Just really, really pressing, pressing, pressing hard into the wall. Pressing, 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 activating through your chest, your armpits, your shoulders, shoulder blades. Maybe even your core gets involved. We'll take a little break, stretch out. Maybe stretching your arms, letting some of that energy fall away. And we'll do it again. We'll press, press, press really hard into the wall. Press, press, press. And again, we'll relax. We'll soften our arms. Maybe shake some of that energy out. Okay. And then another one you can do is with your hands. So there can be energy stored in your fingertips or your hands. Again, because of the fight response. So we'll just strongly flick the fingers out as though you're flicking water or paint off of your hands. And you can do it like in all directions around you. So again, this is sort of, for one, activating, that, or removing that energy of the fight, but also kind of pushing things away. That like, nope, I don't want this. I don't want that. I don't want that situation that's happening. I don't want these people around, whatever it is that is kind of stuck for you. Just firmly, firmly pressing your fingers out when you're flicking. So you'll notice in these activities where we're moving from the shutdown parasympathetic dorsal vagal into the sympathetic, they're more active, right? These are active things that we're doing. And there's one more that we'll do. So we'll stand up again. And this one is called the breath of joy, but it also is also helping to remove that energy that can get stuck in the shoulders, the chest, the neck. So this, let's watch first. I'll do one and then you can join me. So you'll inhale, arms up. It's 3 inhales and then 1 exhale. Inhale, arms up. And then exhale down. So inhale, 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 exhale. Does that make sense? So inhale, 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 exhale. And as you're going down, really let that exhale go, like just. So again, we're activating that energy and then we're letting it all out, right? And I don't think, Michelle, you don't have this page, but on the second page of that ladder, there's one that has a little evaluation sheet. So you can kind of start to check in with yourself and just see where you're at throughout the day. Okay. And then maybe you start to notice patterns, or you start to notice like, hey, maybe I really am like stuck here. Okay, so those are just an example of some activities we can do to move out of the parasympathetic, that dorsal vagal shutdown state, and then move our energy up into the sympathetic, the mobilized fight or flight state. So then the question becomes, how can we move from sympathetic, the activated state, back into ventral vagal, where we're safe, where we're social, where we are engaged, connected, curious, creative, all of those good things. So for this, it's activities that can calm and soothe the nervous system. So the first one we'll do is buzzing. So this activates the vagus nerve in terms of, again, telling yourself that you're safe. So maybe just close your eyes. Take a big breath in. And on your exhale, make a buzzing sound like a bumblebee. And here we're really allowing the tongue to vibrate against the roof of the mouth. And that's where that vagus nerve connects to the brain and tells yourself that you're safe. So we'll do that a few more times on a big inhale. Exhale, buzzing. Maybe do one more at your own pace. Another one with that we can do, and everyone in yoga is familiar with this one, but it's just putting your legs up the wall, or like waterfall balanced on a block under your sacrum. That allows the heart rate to slow, blood flow to kind of return to the body versus the legs. And again, tells your body that you are safe. So we can do that one here. Tina, if you want to just grab a little bit of wall. And so the best way that I can describe to get your legs up the wall most easily is to bring one side of your behind a little bit on the wall, like you're sitting next to the wall, and then you've got a little bit of one side of butt cheek up on the wall. And then just as you go to lay down, swing your legs up, and you should be pretty close to the wall that way. If you need to scoot yourself in a little bit, you can do that. And so this isn't an active pose here. This is a little bit more passive. So we can allow the muscles of our thighs to slide away from the knees. We can start to allow our breath to slow. Maybe even intentionally extending your inhales and extending your exhales. And if you have a partner in the room with you, sometimes it feels nice to have a little bit of weight on the bottoms of your feet. So just placing a sandbag or a book or anything that's not too heavy, but just a couple pounds on your feet. That can feel nice too. We'll stay here just for another minute or so, really bringing our energy back down. Maybe you can start to see here how the first few activities we did really brought our energy up. That's similar to feeling in that fight or flight state. And now we're working to bring our energy back down to move from that activated fight or flight state into just a healthy, normal, whole self state. When we're ready to come out of this pose, you can just swing your legs off to the side, bringing your body onto your side, and then pressing into the floor to come back up to seated. There's also some breath work that we can do, or pranayama that we can do that moves us out of the activated fight or flight state and into a more ventral vagal safe state. Okay, So one that you can do is lengthening your inhales and then lengthening your exhales. So the parasympathetic is really, really activated on exhale. So by lengthening your exhale, even making it longer than your inhale, you really remind your body that you are safe in this moment. So if it feels okay for you, maybe close your eyes and just start to notice your breath. We're not changing anything yet. Just noticing here. Now maybe you can start to lengthen your inhale to a 4 or a 5 count. Lengthen your exhale, maybe making it equal to the inhale right now, just a 4 or a 5 count. And now maybe keeping your inhale at a 4 or a 5 count, but extending the exhale a little bit longer. Maybe you can move into a 5 or a 6 count on the exhale and just slowing that down. So inhale 4 or 5, and then exhale maybe 6 or 7. I'm taking a couple more rounds here at your own pace. Maybe when you're finished with that breath, just open your eyes gently. Maybe you start to notice that your energy is already coming down. So we brought that energy way, way up. Now we're bringing it back down. So another pranayama that we can do is alternate nostril breathing. And so you'll bring your dominant hand up in front of your face. Bring your first 2 fingers down towards your palm. And you're going to place your thumb against your right nostril. I guess I'm assuming here that you're using your right hand. Place your thumb against your right nostril. Inhale through your left. Close left. Exhale right. Inhale right. Close right. Exhale left. Inhale right. Inhale left. Close left. Exhale right. Inhale right. Close right. Exhale left. Inhale left. Close right. Close left. Exhale right. We're taking a few more rounds at your own pace here. When that feels complete for you, maybe just returning your hands to your knees. And so one of the things we can do if we're not sure what kind of state we're in is just place 2 fingers under your nose and breathe out strongly. And pay attention to whether you feel more air coming out of the left or you feel more air coming out of the right. It might take a couple of times to kind of figure that out. So if you feel more air coming out of the right, you're in more of a sympathetic or fight or flight state. And if you feel more air coming out of the left, you are in a ventral vagal or the parasympathetic state. So that's just like a fun little trick. If you're like, I don't really know where I'm at, you can just try that and see. Another thing you can do to activate that, you're curious.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is it for you?
I feel like it's a little bit more on my left.
Okay.
It looks, there's been equal, but it feels like sometimes it's more on
A
the
little bit more on the
left.
left. What was it
Left
for
for me,
left for
full
you? Okay.
Yeah.
I was interestingly still right. I think as we had done, well, you'd missed it,
Yeah.
but we had done a lot of activities to move us from the parasympathetic, the shutdown dorsal vagal state into the sympathetic, the activated state. Because polyvagal theory says you have to move from shutdown into the activated fight or flight before you can move all the way up the ladder into the, yeah. So we did some of that. So I guess I'm still a little bit stuck there. So I got some more work to do, but that's okay.
Take
So
it out of you.
we've got some more ideas. So another thing you can do to activate that vagus nerve is to make the voo sound. So taking a big deep breath in, and on an exhale, voo. For the full length of your exhale. So a deep breath in, exhaling, voo. Again, feeling the vibration through your tongue, the vibration through the roof of your mouth. Ooh. All right. Okay, and another one you can do are alternating sh and who sounds. So inhaling in, exhaling sh. This time inhaling in, exhaling who. Inhaling in, exhaling. Inhaling in, exhaling. Inhaling in,
You smile.
exhaling. Inhaling in, exhaling. All right.
That was fun.
Yeah, it was fun, right? Like
So
it's
fun. We take ourselves so seriously.
yeah. And like you might feel silly, but like these are things that are always available to us, right? Like it doesn't cost anything. You don't have to have any equipment. It's just you and your breath and silly sounds, right? And nothing to lose there. Another one we can do is diaphragmatic breathing. That's one that we're pretty familiar with. That's like the deep belly breathing. In the interest of time, we're going to skip that one today, but just know that that's another one that's available to you. Another one you can do is cupping your hands over your ears. Take a deep breath in and exhale in a hum. So inhale in, exhale. So by doing that, you're not only activating the vagus nerve through the vibration in your mouth, but through your ears as well. So you can really hear that sound just vibrating through your ears, bouncing off your hands, coming back into your ears. Yeah. And then another one that I wanted to teach was tapping. So this one is super, super helpful if you find yourself in a sympathetic state in any situation. So if you're feeling anxiety, if you're feeling stressed, if you're feeling pain, if you're feeling anything at all, this can be helpful for that.
Is it only negative feelings or positive feelings too?
That's a good question. I haven't done tapping for positive feelings. What about, have you experienced that?
No, that's why I was asking.
Okay.
I mean, most of the tapping I've done has been for negative feelings, but
Yeah.
why couldn't it work both ways?
Yeah. I mean, maybe it would be a different setup, but I mean, we could try it. Yeah. Who
No, I'm
knows?
just saying, just curious.
Yeah, okay. So step number one, and you'll see this on your tapping handout, this first one here. Step number one is you make a setup statement. So you'll say out loud whatever your statement is, or whatever it is that you are feeling. Even though I feel anxious, even though I feel pain in my shoulder, even though I'm feeling grief, whatever it is that you want to work on today, whatever it is that feels overwhelming, or whatever it is that you want to start to work through, your statement will be, even though, whatever the problem is, even though I feel pain, even though I feel anxious, whatever you choose, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. And you'll say that while tapping here on the outside of your hand. So even though I feel anxious, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Okay, and we'll say that 3 times while tapping here on the karate chop point. So you'll say that to yourself, whatever your statement is. Continuing to tap while saying that 3 times. And then when you have completed 3 rounds of that, you will maybe shorten the statement, but make it a few words that remind you whatever it is that you are tapping about. And there will be a series of other points that we move through. So we'll tap 6 or more times on each point, starting at the top of the head. Even though I feel anxious, I completely and deeply love and accept myself. Making sure that you get at least 6 taps in. Then you'll move to above your eye. So where the eyebrow begins by the nose, kind of in here for the inner eyebrow. Same thing, you'll say your statement here while you're tapping. And then you'll move to the side of the eye. Same thing, you're making sure to get at least 6 taps in here while repeating your statement. And then you'll move to the under eye. Getting at least 6 taps in here. Very gently. We don't want to blacken our eyes. Just gently tapping here under the eye at least 6 times while repeating that statement.
Not too hard.
So I feel anxious. I deeply and completely love and accept myself. And then you'll move here under the nose. Here on the upper lip under the nose. Again, getting at least 6 taps in while repeating your sentence. And then you'll move here under your lips, kind of on the chin. Just crease on your chin. Getting at least 6 taps in here. Even though I feel anxious, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. And then moving to your collarbones, just under your collarbones, about 1 inch on both sides. So you'll tap with all of your fingers on both sides while repeating that statement again, whatever the statement was that you came up with. Even though I feel anxious, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. And then going to the sides, kind of here at the bra line under the armpit, tapping here on both sides, and this time saying, letting it all go now. Getting at least 6 taps in here. And then after that, whole sequence. If you don't feel like your whatever you were working on is completely resolved, you can change the statement to then say, even though I still have some anxiety, some pain, some whatever it is that you're working on, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. You can go through that whole sequence again. So it would be top of head, above your eyes, the inner eyebrow, the side of the eyes, under your eyes, under the nose, under the lip, under the collarbone, and then here at the sides where you say, letting it all go now. And so you can repeat that as many times as is necessary to kind of work through whatever it is that has you in that sympathetic state, that anxious, painful, whatever it is that you're working on. And then if that's not working, if your pain is not resolving, physical pain is not resolving, there are some questions here on the second page that you can ask yourself. What was going on when this began? What does this pain remind me of? If I could place an emotion on this pain, what would it be? What have I been told about this pain? What do I believe about this pain? If surgery was involved and you feel the surgery was traumatic, tell the story about the surgery itself, tapping away any disruption that's left. And then if an emotion is not resolving, asking yourself, does this remind me of another time in the past when I felt this way? Be aware of changing aspects. For example, anger changing to sadness. Check in to see if there are any beliefs that are keeping this emotion from resolving. For example, it's not okay to let go of this anger because what she did was wrong. And then there's some other techniques for relief here. So rolling your eyes really, really firmly from the floor to the ceiling, back to the floor, to the ceiling, all the way around, like full range of motion with the eyes. And then going in the other direction. And those are some other things you can do. If you're having general anxiety or insomnia, squeezing your fingertips on the side of the nail, not on top of the nail, but just on the side. I'm not very good at this. On the side of the nail for 3 seconds each. Squeezing each finger 3 seconds each, and then your thumb while slowing your breathing. So the meridians that we're working on here are not below the nail, but next to it. So you don't want to go on to the nail. You'll just go through each of the 10 fingers for about 3 seconds each. Including the thumb. You don't want to leave that guy out. And then when you've completed the first hand, making sure to move to the second hand. Applying firm pressure, squeezing the outside of that nail through each finger. And then you can see all of those, and just giving your hands a flick or a shake. And then on this third page, there's some more resources if you're interested in learning more about tapping. There's movies, books for kids, books for teens, websites. There's a meditation app that you can use. So we've kind of moved ourselves through the immobilized shutdown into sympathetic, and then all the way up to the ventral vagal parasympathetic. So what are some signs that your body is in a regulated or ventral vagal state? This is feeling calm, present, and grounded, moving and thinking at a pace that feels right for the situation, feeling connected to your body, having awareness of your environment, feeling like you have enough time for the things you need to do, allowing others to have their experiences while also respecting your own experience, being able to value and meet your own needs without infringing on the needs of others, One thing we talked about, having the right amount of energy for the things you need to do and the right amount of things to do for the energy that you have. And some other things you can do at home to help strengthen your vagus nerve include cold exposure. This can be a cold shower, the cold plunge, running your hands under cold water, or even just holding an ice cube. Red light therapy is wonderful, connecting with nature, dancing, petting an animal, massage, either getting a massage or self-massage, singing, and of course, as we know, yoga and meditation are wonderful as well. So that is that.
Thank you, Reniva.
Yeah,
So grateful. Let's let Michelle know that she can stop.
Yeah, that's great. Wait, there's a couple things. I wanna
Okay.
up to you.
Okay, I wasn't sure if she heard us.
Perfect.
Yes, I heard. Can you see me?
Yes, there you
Yeah.
are.
So I love that talk. I love that there's some action steps that we can actually take. It's so many times there's a theory behind things, and theory is one thing, but when you can have action steps that actually you can feel the effects that we're looking for, I mean, that's a fantastic talk about it. A couple things that struck me was the tippy toe drop down on the heels.
Mhm.
Like what I love about all this is that it also can be done with children.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
these are huge things for children.
Mhm.
And when I was doing that, I felt such relief in my body because, you know, we have so much with the anxiety or fear or whatever it is, it's just like, it's like this energy that's trapped in our physical bodies. And it's just like in there frantic, and we're like giving it a direction or an escape out. And, you know, with yoga practices, the compression on the organs, you know, so I love how it's together, but it's like different little action steps. But if in the end, it's like doing the same thing, the vibrations that we're using are the same, you know, vibrations as used in mantra. So it's like, this is like multi-language.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like speaking another language, and it hits a whole other audience that may not want to come in and do the yoga practice under that title of yoga, but they'll come in, you know. So it's just these are beautiful things for a yoga teacher to know, not just a yoga teacher, but I mean, wow, if a teacher has this kind of information, and then they have, you know, you have a student in the class for an hour and 15, hour and 30, there's a lot of things that you can do to help them in many ways, right? So I love all of that. When we talked about the legs up the wall, you know, slowing down, I always tell a lot of benefits of what legs up the wall do, or, you know, shoulder stand. But this is a new one for me, is to add in that it's talking to your nervous system, right? And I already I knew that it was calming, but this is just like something more to say, because each thing that we add to, you know, when they're doing the physical postures, and you can give them the benefits. That's what I think, that where our teaching kind of stands out from other yoga teachers, and that we train all, you could tell all of our students, we talk about the benefits of what's happening to you in the pose. And those are like carrots dangling, you know, and it keeps you moving forward when you know that there's something that you want so badly. So this is just incredibly helpful information. I can think of many ways to use it. That having the action steps and feeling the sensations, you know, showing the difference of what bringing in the energy up versus bringing the energy down. And then not just talking about it, but feeling it. You know, I'm going to use a lot of this information in my future when I talk, because it's like, it's so much more meaningful to me in this conversation, to hear and to see the pictures and think of the ladder. I had a question. Is there a recommended time or minimal time for those exercises, like the hill drops, or like, you know, how like yin yoga has You know, it takes 3 to 5 minutes to get into the deeper connective tissue. What is this like? Does it have something like that behind it?
I mean, so you can do as many or as few of these exercises at a time as you want, and really just tuning into your body. So if you're doing the heel drops, and like you were saying, Michelle, you started to feel some relief, right? Some like, okay, some energy, some things are moving out here. Continue for as long as that feels right for you. And I mean, certainly not longer than feels right.
Yeah.
But just giving yourself an opportunity to really like feel that shift, I think is important, to kind of just tune in and feel what's right for you.
Well, you know, like a lot of the people that we work with are so unattached to their feelings.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they won't, it's like put your foot here and put your foot there. Sometimes it's going to take us a year to be able to realize, oh, my foot's here. You know what I mean? So, that, yeah, just, we can't let it be up to them or up to, unless we're connected. So this is just so good. I love it. What else was it? Oh yeah, the mantras, the vibration, the techniques, being accessible to children. What was this? No, hang on, sorry. And I was going to tell you that now I know why owls are so common.
Yeah, right. The constant whoo.
Oh, I was going to think of a freaking owl, like, you know, they just sit on the tree, whoo, whoo, and they're going to do all these terrible things to my chickens, but whoo.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, yeah. All right, that's all I got to say about
Yeah,
that. That was
thank you so much,
beautiful.
Michelle. And I love that none of these things like cost anything. You don't have to have anything with you. You can
Yes.
do this anywhere, anytime, right?
Yes.
If you're at Thanksgiving dinner with your family and you just can't handle their nonsense anymore, go to the bathroom, give yourself
Yeah.
5 minutes and just make weird noises, or, you know, like wring out a towel, push against the wall, whatever it is that your body needs to move through that. I love that it's so accessible to anyone, anywhere.
Absolutely.